Hi, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever wondered why theming doesn't work quite like you would expect in an Android app, or why colors are so much more difficult in an Android app than they are in an iOS app, then stay tuned. Let's learn together. Alright, so here we are in our brand new Jetpack Compose project. Now, the first thing I want to go ahead and do is I want to go down to our greeting, and I want to wrap our greeting in a column. And let's go ahead and we can move our text into that column. And then let's place a button into our column as well. And we will add our onClick method here. And we just won't do anything with that onClick right now. And let's give it a text with a string of click me. Cool. Alright, so now that we've got our app running, we can actually see that our button is blue for this instance of the simulator. However, if it were to be run on a different instance of a simulator, it may actually end up being purple. And you may be wondering, now, why would our button color be blue on one simulator and purple on another simulator? That seems kind of strange. Well, that's actually a feature from Android called dynamic color. Now, if you're not familiar with that, that dynamic color is actually based off of the wallpaper. So as you can see here, I've got kind of like an ocean wallpaper style here on this simulator. And the color palette that we're using is this one here. For example, if I go over and I move over from something with a primary color of more of a blue tint to something with a primary color of more of this, I don't know if that's necessarily brown, but you know, off color tint there. And then we go back into our app. So let's move my face out of the way and go back into the app. You can now see that our button has gone from that bluish color to this kind of coral color almost. Now, that's not a feature that I would imagine many designers want. And in fact, I talked to some of the designers that I work with, and they were like, you could make your app support that, but if you're working with a brand in any way, shape, form, or fashion, this is probably not what you're looking for. So how do we actually prevent the user from being able to change things in a branded icon? Well, the easiest way to do that is to scroll back up to our theme here in our main activity. And as part of the initializer for this theme, we can say that we want our dynamic colors off by default. So now if we rerun our app, you can see that that button went from that strange coral color back over to the default Android system purple. Now this also brings us to another issue of most apps probably don't want purple buttons. That looks a little strange, and it's not what a lot of apps are designed for. So how can we change the color of this button? Well, to do that, we can go over here into our Project Navigator, and we can choose the color file here. And as you can see, we've got a color of purple 80. Now, we can add our own custom colors, and we can expand the theme.kt file, and this is where our colors are set. This is where our themes are set. So as you can see in the dark color scheme, our primary color is purple 80, and in the light color scheme, our primary color is purple 40. Now, obviously, you can change the other colors here. However, we'll add our own custom color in just a second. But before we do that, we can see here that our color scheme is actually changing if we are setting the dynamic color, which is true by default. And we've turned that off in our main activity. You could also turn that off here as well. It's up to you. Either place works just fine. And then it also checks the build version. So once you've gone through those checks, it will check if the app is in dark theme. And if it is, it will give you the dark color scheme. And if it is not in dark theme, then it gives you the light color scheme. So that's how we do theming inside of Jetpack Compose, is we set these colors up in our light and dark schemes up here. Now, if we want to create our own custom color, we can do that in here in the color.kt file. For example, let's say that we have a val test color, and our val test color is a color. And so before we get started actually writing this hex color, let's kind of go over what these colors actually mean. So you can see here that the first two digits are FF. That is your alpha or your opacity. So we want the opacity for our test color to be 1, or the highest level that it can get. And the next 2 digits are red, and so we'll make a solid red color for our test color. So this will be a solid red, and we want no green and no blue. So those are the next 2 digits. So again, just going over this one last time, this is our alpha and opacity. The next 2 are red, the next 2 are green, and the last 2 are blue. And you can see that over here. So another way to do this is if you just want to put 6 zeros, that's another way to do it. And then you could actually just click on our color selector here, and you could change the color. You could add your RGB colors, or you could pick from the material colors, and you can change everything that you need to right there as well, so you don't have to be familiar with the hex colors. Now let's also go ahead and let's make a test color dark mode. So we will do that as a color, and our color will be 0x, and we'll again make this 100% opacity. We will make it 0 red, 100% green, and 0 blue. Cool, so as you can see, we've got a bright green right there. And like I said earlier, we can change this color if we want. So now let's say that we, instead of a bright green, let's say we want a dark green. So let's move it over here and just make it a darker green. And you can see that it's changing our hex color here as well as in our code. Cool. So now I've got a little bit darker green for our dark mode test color. Now if we actually want to use these test colors as our theme colors, we've got a couple different options. We can jump back over into the theme file, and we could use the built-in color schemes that are here. So as you can see, we can press Command and then click on this, and it will allow us to jump to the dark color scheme and see all the different options that we have here. Now we could choose one of these, or we could create our own custom color scheme. Either way, that's up to you. For now though, I'm going to jump back over to the theme file, and we're going to change the primary color. So instead of using purple 80 as our primary color scheme, I want to use the test color dark mode, since we are in the dark color scheme file here. And in the primary on the light color scheme, I want to use our test color. Now that we've got that set up, let's go ahead and let's rerun our app one more time. Cool, and as you can see, we've got our bright red test color, which was our light mode test color. And if we swap our app over to the dark theme and go back, as you can see, we've got a nice dark green for our dark theme. Very cool. Now, you may also notice that Android, just like SwiftUI, has colors that automatically switch. For example, you may have noticed that this text was just black on in the light color scheme, and now it is white on the dark color scheme. So again, we can swap that back and see that. Very cool. So it went from white to black. Very cool. Now what if this text here, instead of being part of our UI, was just like a one-off thing, and you wanted it to change colors based on if the system is in light or dark mode? Well, if we want to do that, then we could come back over here to our view, and we could say that the color is, we could check if the color is in system dark theme, and if it is, then we want to return our test color, and we want the dark mode color, so because we're checking if it is in dark mode. Else we want our test color for light mode. Alright, so let's give that a shot and let's rerun our app. So now whenever our app gets done rebuilding, it should be that red text, and when we switch to dark, it should be that dark green text. Very cool. If you're familiar with the color scheme environment variable from SwiftUI, using isSystem in dark theme is how we do the same thing in Jetpack Compose that we would in SwiftUI. And with that, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and if you leave a comment, just be nice about it. That's all I ask. Thanks. Have a great day.